This is developing and documenting your safety program. My name is Flint Holbrook. I'm the founder and president of TruckSpy. I've got to remember my own title these days. All right, you've decided to build a safety program and you're going to do a good job, right? You've decided, hey, we're going to really get behind safety. We're going to make it part of our company culture. Let's talk about building your safety plan and how you're going to document it, how you're going to implement it. So that plan has got to include a few very key items. First of all, it has to be written and it has to be thought out and documented in a way that it can be distributed and followed across the fleet and the organization. The second thing, this plan has got to include what is acceptable and what's not acceptable of your drivers. So you need to document in there, hey, we expect you to do pre and post trip inspections. We expect you to use your ELD and follow the hours of service mandate. And it's not acceptable if you fail to do your inspections, and it's not acceptable if you don't use the ELD properly. Like, seems like table stake kind of stuff for a truck driver, but you need to put that in writing and document it. You also need to include your minimum hiring requirements. And I know sometimes hiring requirements can fluctuate based on the market, but you need to put in there, we do not hire drivers that have had an at-fault accident in the last 3 years, as an example. You need to figure out, what does it take to be a truck driver for my company? You need to put that in writing, and then you need to stick to it and be focused on executing to those requirements. You also need to include the training that your drivers are going to undergo. Put in that plan, here's how we hire, or here's how we train new hires. Here's when we do retraining. Here's our safety training schedule. We're going to do an annual training or a quarterly training or a monthly training, and here's what that's going to include. Be pretty specific in documenting this, and again, this is a communication tool that you're going to distribute around your company, and every month you're going to come look at it and say, did we meet our safety goals? Did we uphold our safety plan? And if you don't document it, there's no way that you can measure it and actually pull it off. The last thing that has to be in your safety plan is what happens when somebody doesn't follow it. What happens when a driver doesn't do his pre and post trip inspections? What happens when he doesn't use his ELD properly? You need to lay out disciplinary procedures and incentive procedures in that safety plan. And that's going to be different for every company, but you need to sit down and put some thought into how do we incentivize the driver to follow the safety guidelines and policies that we've put in place. Okay, so we've talked about what has to be in your safety plan. Now let's talk about what is required from management to pull this off. First of all, you've got to get buy-in from your entire management team. This isn't something that the owner of the company can sit in the office or some safety consultant and say, guys, I've come up with a safety plan. You're going to have to sit down with all your team members and talk about safety and talk about what are we doing in the field right now that makes us unsafe? Where are our risks, and how do we mitigate those risks? And you've got to get input from your management team to build this plan, because at the end of the day, if they don't believe in it and they're not focused on it, it's never going to be successful. The second and probably most important thing that management has to do is, once the plan is developed and finalized, management has to stick to it. You have to apply it really consistently across your organization. It's never going to work. It's going to fail miserably if you apply it half the time. Or, well, I don't apply it to this driver because he's a good driver. Right? That doesn't make any sense. Like, if he's a good driver, he wouldn't be violating your safety program. Okay, so we've documented our safety program. We've got our management buy-in. Let's talk a little bit about telematics, and obviously that's the business that we're in, but we have a lot of experience helping customers use their telematics systems to enhance their fleet safety. Use the telematics systems, folks. I mean, you've got the ELD, you've got the drive camera. Use the data. Put in the safety plan who reviews the ELD data, who follows up with the driver when they have violations, who reviews the safety camera footage, who follows up with the driver. Seems like really simple stuff, but you would be amazed how many fleets have these technologies, and the stuff is just sitting on a server somewhere and nobody's ever using it. Use the data that comes from the telematics platform. It's probably your biggest tool to make sure that your drivers are doing all the little table stakes things that make them safe, right? That help your company enhance productivity and operate safely every day. That data is absolutely crucial. So we've got some great products that can help you if you don't have a good product, but most telematics systems that have an ELD have the data, so you need to use the data. Drive cameras are an absolutely wonderful tool for helping you maintain your safety, and they should be included in your safety plan. We've got a great video on AI drive cameras that focuses on our technology and talks about some of the advantages and coaching and accident prevention. So I would encourage you to watch that as well.